Hey, Mark's watching MTC Media here at Cap One with your Georgetown wrap up. The Warriors fall to Notre Dame 84-63 in a game that I hate to say this. The play out here resembled what last year looked like, which is never good. You know, from the time Cooley was hired, I talked about building really reusable habits that you can forge into a culture. For a program that has not had a culture in over a generation. So this was a setback game. Now, for starters, Thomas Sorber came into this game under the weather. He did not start even when he was in. For a young man who was sick, and you could tell that he was not feeling well. I mean, he battled in 23 minutes. He had 12 points and 4 rebounds, which is all things considered. I mean, it was a yeoman's effort by him. But to be frank with you, Notre Dame shot them out the gym. Uh, Georgetown's guards, Mack and Epps, combined to shoot 10 for 32. Georgetown was 8 for 32 from 3. They hardly got the ball to the paint. Now, Cooley said afterwards that, Notre Dame had 10 feet in the paint, and they did. But you got to make shots. You got to make shots to do that. You got to reverse the ball. There was too much dribbling. You got to reverse the ball, and then you attack the space off of ball reversals. There are ways to combat that. Then dribble, contested 3. Dribble, bad pass. Dribble, let me go 1-on-3. And that was the root of the problem on offense. And when those things happen, and you're taking bad shots, from bad angles, that becomes your opponent's run out. That's their first pass to their fast break. Georgetown helped Notre Dame, especially in that first half. Now, you can say Notre Dame got performances. Obviously Marcus Burton and Braden Shrewsbury is always at the top of your scout list. And I thought Georgetown, for the most part, did a good job on both of them. But it's the others. You always hear about this in the NBA. It's the others, right? Matt Alico and Davis and Tay Davis, I mean, they were terrific. In the first half, they were 9 for 10 from the floor. They finished a combined 11 for 16 for 30 points. And those are the others. Now, Alico, he's a shooter. He was a shooter at Princeton. Previous career high in made threes were 5. Today, he was 4 for 8. He was 4 for 4 in the first half. And he just didn't miss. And then he cooled down. But by then, the damage had been done. And now Georgetown was guarding, basically from sideline to sideline, because Notre Dame's three-point shooting ended up spreading out Georgetown's defense. And now Notre Dame had this great spacing where they could attack and they could kick. Notre Dame ended up shooting 9 for 21 from 3. But in the first half, they were 7 for 12. And that's the damage. For the game, Notre Dame shot 59.3% from the floor, 42.9% from 3. Those aren't winning numbers for Georgetown. Defensively, wasn't there. Cooley at the press conference said F-. And offensively, 26% in the first half, 37% in the second half, 31.4% for the game. You add that in with PV being in foul trouble and all these things. It was a conglomerate of, if it could go wrong, it went wrong. And that's what Georgetown's game was today. And in a big spot, Georgetown has 3 signature out-of-conference games. This was the only one at home. The other 2, Syracuse and West Virginia, are on the road. Georgetown, if you listened before the season, I said out of those 3 non-conference games, they probably needed to win 2 of the 3. And Notre Dame, the one that was at home, was the must-have. And then you could split on the road with the other 2. Georgetown has to get back to doing some of the stuff we did see in the first 2 games, which was ball movement and ball reversal and attacking when you have it and not being as guard-centric. Even if Sorber is hurt, even if Sorber didn't play today at all, the ball still has to touch the paint. And you have to make attempts for the ball to touch the paint. Get some defensive stops and have it touch the paint in transition and secondary transition. But you don't get defensive stops and you don't try to get it in your half court, and guys are settling for shots and the ball is going east-west, and then the final score ends up being 84-63. That's the recipe for disaster. And for Georgetown fans, you know, you've just seen that over the years. So again, Georgetown will need to bounce back. There was a week to prepare for this game, a week, and you get an 84-63 game. So for Georgetown, luckily for them, things are fixable. Lucky for them that Ed Cooley is their coach, because he does know how to win in these situations. And you know, as much as Georgetown fans might not want to hear this, you just got to trust the process of this team getting better. Cooley talked about it. They're the young team. Last year, you could argue that Notre Dame was the young team. Well, this year, Georgetown was the young team. And at times, it showed. And so those are things that he has to work through, and Georgetown needs to bounce back from. You know, they're going to have to make a run through this non-conference. They all the mid-majors that they play, they got to win those games. And they at this point, you know, you want them to sweep West Virginia, Syracuse, but probably you'll take a split. So, it's Mark Swanson from Cap 1. Have a good afternoon.